Now we're ready for the news, and in our first story, the police in Kumasi is not ruling out the subject of contract killing as it mounts a search for killers of Otumfuo's Asampongini, whose body was found at the backseat of his Toyota Land Cruiser vehicle at Boom on the Ijurang Kranza Highway on Sunday evening. The body of the 46-year-old chief Nana Kwejo Afoduo, with multiple staff wounds, was found in the abandoned vehicle by church members returning from a conversion. Ohiminteria of our security desk has been on the beat since last night and is joining us via phone to give us more details. Good morning to you, Ohiminteria, but now let's get to the crux of the subject. What have the police been saying so far?
Thank you, Roland, and good morning. To the Ashanti Regional Police Command, they are releasing information bit by bit. When I spoke to the Regional Police Public Relations Officer, ASP Godwin Ahianyo, he did indicate that the body of the lead chief, Nana Asampongini, was found at the back seat of his Land Cruiser vehicle just around the spot, a boom between Nkranza and Dumasi in the Ashanti region. The police suspect some people might have murdered the chief and sent his body all the way to that spot and also abandoned the vehicle at the outskirts of the community. And he tells me police have mounted search for the killers suspected to be involved in the killing of the late chief, who is considered a close relative of the Asantehene Otumfuo Osei-Tutu II. As we speak, the information that I just picked this morning is that police have picked a man that they described as a confidant of the late chief, just that they are tight-lipped on details. They wouldn't want to release more details about this man, and it's not clear whether they are holding him as a suspect or maybe somebody who is assisting police in their investigations. ASP Ahianyo did assure residents of Kumasi that police, with the support of other stakeholders, will do everything possible to flash out the miscreants involved in the dastard killing of the late Asampongini Nana Kwejo Afoduo. But what we do know is that since the incident happened, the police team, especially the crime team, has been to the scene, and they have been picking every snippet of information that they think will support the investigations into the murder of their chief. So, Roland, that is information we have for now. And the police is also urging calm among residents of Kumasi.
And especially if you look at the reaction to the death of the chief, especially on social media, it's been quite tragic and shocking. How has this news been received by residents of Kumasi especially? And if you have any links at all to Menchia?
It's difficult to get the Menchia connection at this point in time. Just as I said, police, a whole security agency has not been forthcoming with a lot of details concerning the death of the chief because of his status in the traditional, setup. He is considered a warrior for the Asantehene, and anytime there's war, anytime the Asantehene goes to war, the Asampongene is among a retinue of chiefs that lead the Asantehene. So traditionally, there may be some rites to perform before the Asantehene could be informed of the demise of his chief. And then the news of his death actually came late last night. A few residents got to know that the Asampongene has been killed in that manner. So just this morning, residents of Kumasi are waking up to the murder of the late Asampongene, who besides or beyond his traditional status in Kumasi, is also considered a prominent businessman. He is noted for this is a popular pub, X5 pub at Kumasi Krofrum, which is close to the MPP's regional headquarters. So a lot of people, when you mention his name, what comes into mind is that popular pub in Kumasi. But he's also traditionally powerful. is traditionally important to the Ashanti Kingdom. So I won't be surprised that residents of Kumasi, upon hearing the murder of the chief, will express a shock over this, because nobody thought that such news will befall Kumasi. Let me also say that this is the second time in 10 years that a prominent person closer to the Menchia Palace has been murdered in this manner. In 2009, when the Asante was preparing for his anniversary, I do remember and reported on a similar story where one of the spiritualists went out to collect herbs that they would use to pacify the gods and also make part of the anniversary celebrations, but he was shot dead by unknown assailants. I do remember at that time, Openin Akosa, as he was identified in 2009, he was shot at Atafua near Kumasi. So for the past 10 years, Menchia Palace has recorded tragic death of people who are closer to the palace and people who mean a lot to the palace. So I won't be surprised to hear that the Menchia Palace has condemned this act, and I'm sure the palace will also be urging the police and also give the police the necessary support to go down, deep down there to unravel who played what part and who is involved in the killing of the late Asampohene Nana Akufo-Addo Afodwo.
Well, we would entreat you to go try sample some of the views of the residents of Kumasi mainly. And if you do that, we would like to play that on the show before we close the whole package. But that's Ohimin Teria, our correspondent from Kumasi. But moving on, the Bank of Ghana has debunked claims that government owed GN Savings and Loans, one of the 23 savings and loans companies whose licenses had been withdrawn in the latest banking sector cleanup. The central bank on Friday published a list of some 23 savings and loans companies, which it described as insolvent. Well, in an exclusive interview with Malik Abbas Dabo, the Deputy Director of Banking Supervision for the Bank of Ghana, Elliot Amwako, said government did not owe GN Bank directly. He said the monies were owed affiliate companies who intended to assign the amount to GN Savings and Loans if government paid them subsequently.
Even though we were fully aware of his claim that government owed them, for GN, and as we indicated in this press release, these debts that are owed to it are not owed directly to the bank. These were owed to affiliate companies of GN. Okay. And we've indicated that in our press release, for which the bank indicated to us that they would assign to the bank if government pays them these funds. Okay. These were not loans that the savings and loans or when it was even a bank was granted. These were from affiliate companies. And then we had realized that GN was exposed to its affiliates. And they were indicating that they were going to use these payments to offset when it comes. But having given them all the time, up till now, from when they were downgraded to a savings and loan, up till now, we realized that these funds are not coming. And
because government is not paying.
And the vulnerable depositors were at risk. They cannot get their funds. Okay, so that is the story behind GN. These funds were not directly owed to the bank. These are owed to affiliates. And that is why we refer to him as giving funds. The whole model was financing its affiliates companies. And that in itself is very problematic.
And your case is that if even the 2 billion that the group claims,
well,
it's
from our write-up and from the information we have indicated that if he had told us that the total amount of 942, that's what is in the press release.
Okay, and 900, not 2 billion.
Based on which we claim that what the ministry had confirmed.
And finance ministry are talking about.
Yes, the finance ministry had confirmed, and we have correspondence to that effect. Okay, if we take all that into consideration, it cannot cure the level of indebtedness or the level of resolve the insolvency challenge.
Ms. Elliot Amwako of the Bank of Ghana's interaction with Malik Dabo will be airing later on the show. Make sure that you stay tuned. Moving on, immigration, customs and police officers stationed at Ghana's borders to Cote d'Ivoire in Chache, a suburb of Bole, are on high alert as residents allege former Ivorian rebels and militia are taking advantage of porous borders and illegal small-scale mining activities to integrate themselves into Ghanaian communities they can't find along these borders. Though there is vigilance at Chache border, 10 unapproved borders exist and are usually unmanned. Savannah region correspondent Isaac Nyonya has today's story for a series highlighting the state of Ghana's porous borders.
This gentleman has just crossed over from the Ivorian border into Ghana upon seeing our camera. He wants to find out why we're filming, describing himself as an Ivorian immigration officer. But Ghanaian police officers insisted on proof of his identity, after which he was instructed to return to his country.
We want to follow you there, also see.
That is the kind of vigilance exhibited at the main border here at Chache. But the story at the unapproved routes is completely different. Chache is a suburb of a Bole district in the newly created Savannah region. The western part of the district hosts Ghana's border with a neighbor which has endured a full-scale military conflict in 2011. That's Cote d'Ivoire. It is a farming community with about 2,000 peasant farmers and fisher folk, with which comes petty traders crossing to and fro the two countries every single day. This border is of high security and economic importance to Ghana, given that criminally minded people continue to exploit the violent past of Ivory Coast and significant business activities go on here every day. It seems to require much more attention. At least that was what the first president of Ghana, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, did, establishing and deploying border guards who were housed in these quarters that look abandoned now and rotting away.
We are in the middle of Chache River, and Chache serves as the border between Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire. On my right is the Black River. It is a river, and the border draw its source from the Water Lake, from the central Gonja, and it goes straight direct to the Bui Dam. Looking on, also beside my left is the Cote d'Ivoire. I started there, and also on the other side are the Ghana authority, Ghana police service who are also activity. Also have the immigration and then the self officials together with the police who are there to ensure that Ghana's security is intact. We don't have any artificial border here. It's a river that serves as such a border between Ghana and La Cote d'Ivoire.
It is a natural border with a river sourced from the White Volta extending to the Bui and Akonsombo dams. From this water source, Ivory Coast has built a system that distributes water to nearest Ivorian communities. But for the Ghanaian communities on this side, they do not have access to potable water, even though they live by it. Lack of potable water is not the only problem here. Both residents and border officials posted here grapple with unmotorable roads and terrible communication networks on a daily basis.
For the management, we are having a lot of challenges because, you know, the river is not a man-made thing. And such things, flood normally occurs whenever there is heavy rain, like what happened just recently over the weekends. It rained for about almost 10 or 12 hours and all here was flooded. It wiped away a certain woman who serves around the boundary of the river. It wiped away her. About 5 tubers of yarn was washed away. And my headache mostly here is that we don't have life jackets. When the people are crossing, they don't wear life jackets. And previously, there happened to be some ground issues. That's the Ivorian part, not Ghana part. We have about 4 routes to Cote d'Ivoire from this place. It's not only Chache.
4 routes.
Personnel, we patrol. But our challenge is the road network. So they've been patrolling there most often. But because of the road network, sometimes they find it difficult to go around there.
That is Zonal NADMO Director for Chache, Afisata Abdullahi, with a list of the problems. In an emergency, persons will need to travel to Mandarin or Bole, the capital, before accessing network to make a phone call. Besides the main border here in Chache, there are 10 other unapproved routes in this small farming community, and they are patronized by hundreds of people, both Ghanaian and non-Ghanaian. Dollar Power is one of these unapproved routes. It is a hub for illegal mining, hence the name Dollar Power, and records of smuggling and other criminal activity here abound. In 2012, a military officer was shot and killed while escorting then DCE for the area, James Jeka, in Waka Waka, one of the communities here in Dollar Power. In 2014, some sub-chiefs were abducted by rebels from Cote d'Ivoire's rebels. This happened in Tuna in the Sola Tuna Kaba district in the then northern region of Ghana. Residents here are mostly a mix of Ivorian, Togolese and Ghanaians due to intermarriages and movement of people across the border.
There's free movement. We go there, they come here. You can travel there anytime, provided you meet. If you have a car, provided the pantu is working, then you can cross. But if it's not working, then you have to leave your car and go in the boat. If you can't speak French or Jula, then you are out. Only a few of them can speak our languages here, like the next village across, Vonkoro. Most of them have married from Ghana, so we can speak the Safalaba language easily. But they don't understand the Gonja language very well. I don't think even Vonkoro. Even the chief of Vonkoro is from Sonyo. The mother is from Sonyo. So that's why I'm saying that the intermarriages have made us, we cannot cut ourselves from them.
Mustafa Idrisu is a Ghanaian and has come to the border today to receive his aunt, who is now Ivorian. She's attending the funeral of Mustafa's brother. Here, people virtually live in both countries at the time, with their bedrooms in Ghana and their offices or farms in Cote d'Ivoire. I left the main border knowing the security personnel there were on high alert, but for the 10 unapproved routes here in Chache, they remain unguarded. Isaac Nongyat's report for JoyNews.
And before we go, the Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Emmanuel Kofi, has implored newly graduated customs senior cadets not to resort to schemes to enrich themselves in their line of duty at the detriment of the state. He warned that any officer caught exhibiting errant behaviors would be severely punished, while those identified to be of good standing would also be rewarded. He said these during the graduation ceremony of the officers at the GRA Academy in Petue in the Agotimizu Yofe district of the Volta region.
51 senior officers successfully went through the 9-month basic paramilitary and customs course. The course was to equip them with the requisite knowledge to perform their core mandate as custom officers effectively. For the first time in the history of the academy, females formed the majority of the graduates. 30 out of the 51 graduates were females. The Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Emmanuel Kofi, urged the graduates to abide by the code of conduct of a service in their line of duty.
You are coming out at a time where so much is expected from GRA, particularly customs divisions. I therefore expect that you work hard to justify the expenditure of your training, while at the same time exhibiting acceptable ethical behavior. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no doubt that the job of revenue mobilization particularly as operations and preventive officers, require determination, hard work, tenacity, and above all, integrity to succeed. You are going to be posted to various collections and stations where your job will expose you to compromising situations. It is here that you must display the greatest amount of love and loyalty to GRA and Ghana. I advise you not to be competitors against the state for the revenue that should come to the state. I wish to assure you that hard work and resistance to such compromising situations will be rewarded by top management, while at the same time, errant behavior will be severely sanctioned. Our duty is to increase compliance levels in all facets of our operation. I look forward to your group helping to change the perception of the public, the perception of the public about the GRA and the Customs Division in particular. With the authority of the states conferred on me by His Excellency, the President of the Republic, as the Commissioner General of Ghana Revenue Authority, I commission you as officers of the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority.
There were drills exhibited to show the Customs Service's preparedness to combat cross-border crimes. Four graduates were awarded for emerging the best in weapon handling, academics, physical training and drills. Two others were awarded for being the most disciplined and best female trainees, while Senior Cadet Saidu Yusuf Sugri was adjudged the best all-round student. All 51 graduates were decorated and presented with certificates. Fred Kwame Asari's report for Joy News.
Well, that's it for the latest news updates. But we have more news. We'll review the newspapers. We'll also tell you the interactions we have with an official of the Bank of Ghana. As we all know, the decision taken by the central bank that ultimately was announced on Friday. And we also know that we brought you that live event as the Ghana Grand Tour climax to its grandest end on Sunday. Kojankson was on the team, crisscrossing the country over a distance of some 1,000 kilometers, all in a bid to raise funds for the plastic and bench unit of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. He's right here in the studio. So, well, we'll hear from the horse's own mouth. Stay with us.